We start today's video with a look at what might be, and I'm not positive, I'd have to check, is what could be Archie Griffin's first game at Ohio State, the two-time Heisman winner. This is the North Carolina Tar Heels coming to Ohio State. And there's Coach Wayne Woodrow Hayes. North Carolina's head coach was Bill Dooley at the time, who would wind up also coaching Virginia Tech. This was the first year that freshmen were eligible, but they didn't necessarily play them there. They had the option then. And here is Ohio State. See how many of these guys? Morris Bradshaw spent some time with the Oakland Raiders. Randolph Gradishar, Denver Broncos star and should be Hall of Famer. Rick Middleton was a first-round pick of the Saints. John Hicks wound up winning the Outland and the Lombardi. High pick of the New York Giants. What do we have over here? Kurt Schumacher was a first-round pick by the Saints. Neil Colsey was a first-round pick of the Raiders, spent most of his career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a look at the coaches' case. Now let's take a look at Ohio State's coaches. How many of these guys wound up being head coaches? Sometimes that's interesting. George Chomp would wind up being the head man at Navy. That may be it right offhand on this particular squad. On the North Carolina coaches, do I recognize any of these guys? Bobby Collins would eventually be head coach at Southern Miss and SMU. I think that's about it for North Carolina. Some more Buckeyes here. There's Doug France, who was a number one pick by the Rams. Fred Puggett, who would eventually be an Ohio State assistant for years. This is the first I've looked at this as well. I bought this, and a lot of times I had bought things and never got around to opening them. The Red Door Tavern. And there's the starting lineups for both teams. Do I recognize any of these Tar Heels? Ken Huff was a first-round pick of the Baltimore Colts, so there's one. Bobby Myrick, who would not be a football player but would wind up pitching for the New York Mets. Robert Pratt played several years with the then Baltimore Colts. Then we Script, Ohio. Some more North Carolina Tar Heels. 7-Up, the Uncola. My favorite all-time drink. So there's some more Ohio State Buckeyes. Doug Plank, who spent years with the Chicago Bears and with the USFL Chicago Blitz. Steve Luke, who spent some time with the Green Bay Packers. One call covers it all. It's a Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide Insurance based in Columbus. Still a big deal there. More Buckeyes. The hot dog you're tasting, great. Is it served with Golden's mustard? This is probably before Golden's went national. It was still a regional. You don't have to be Japanese to enjoy the food at the Japanese steakhouse. Yikes. The Emmett Kelly Jr. Circus coming to bringing Gentle Ben, the famous TV bear. Well, there you go. And on the weekends, all roads lead to football. And then if you need to buy yourself some shoes, buy the Freeman Free Flex. Well, that was a pretty short one. So, as always, we have the standbys that we'll see how much time we have for these. Here's another professional wrestling program where I think these may be the end of the WWF versions, although there are some more wrestling programs. There's the upcoming Mega Powers versus the team of Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase at SummerSlam. Harley Race and the new King Haku. The Powers of Pain, the Barbarian and the vastly underrated Warlord. Jake the Snake Roberts, who's coiled for Rick Rude. Oh, you get them. And then we have new videotapes, Hulkamania 3, Around the World, and the Women of the WWF. And here's the arrival of the Big Boss Man, formerly Big Bubba Rogers. Now we can always buy some stuff. You can buy your own championship belt, your Macho Madness mug, Macho Man boxer shorts, always a must. They'll go well with your Hulk Hogan knit cap. Or your Matilda stuffed animal. Or your Mine, the George the Animal Steel doll. I'd forgotten all about Mine. I wish I would have stayed that way. And more t-shirts as always. The Rock Don Morocco. I don't even remember that shirt. Brutus Beefcake. Honky Tonk Man. I don't even remember a couple of these. The Young Stallions, Paul Roma and Jim Powers. I bet you they were big sellers. There's that Andre hand and foot one again. WWF Frisbees. This is from a Capital Center card, which I'll give you here at the end. This is the Magnificent Morocco. Brother Love. You can now hear his podcast as Bruce Pritchard. The Bolsheviks, who were the first sacrificial lambs to the Powers of Pain after their arrival in the company. The Rockers are a fellow named Shawn Michaels, along with Marty Jannetty. Oh, and those awful ice cream bars. And we have Keep an Eye On, Ultimate Warrior, Bam Bam Bigelow, Dino Bravo, and the Outlaw Ron Bass. This was a card from August 20th, 1988. Don't remember who I was there with right offhand. Randy Savage and Andre the Giant both counted out of the ring. Honky Tonk Man was disqualified against the Ultimate Warrior. The Powers of Pain defeated the Bolshevik. Tito Santana and King Haku in a time limit draw. The Fabulous Rougeau Brothers with an upset pin over the Hart Foundation. Big Boss Man over Sam Houston. Kurt Hennig replacing the Iron Sheik over Leaping Lanny Poffo. And Terry Taylor with a win over Dave Peterson, who older wrestling fans may better remember as DJ Peterson. He was pretty highly pushed in the AWA and in the Central States. One more of these. This is the Survivor Series program. I did not attend this at the Richfield Coliseum, but this was, I think if you bought the WWF magazine, it was inside it, so it gave me a rare. I bought that I usually didn't, but I decided to because this was the first Survivor Series. Hulk Hogan's team with three of my all-time favorites, although they weren't favorites. They were kind of wrestling as baby faces at the time. Don Morocco, Paul Orndorff, and Ken Patera. And they were facing Andre the Giant's team. Andre the Giant, One Man Gang, King Kong Bundy, Rick Rude, and Butch Reed. Oh, the team was good at the bottom. Then you have Randy Savage's team. Jim Duggan, Brutus Beefcake, Ricky Steamboat, Jake Roberts, and the Macho Man. Taking on the Honky Tonk Man's team with Harley Race, Danny Davis, Ron Bass, and Hercules. That's a pretty lopsided match. And then you have the tag teams with the British Bulldogs, the Killer Bees, Young Stallions, Rougeaus, and this is the Captain's Strike Force, as they face off against the team captained by the Hart Foundation with the Islanders, Demolition, the Dream Team of Greg Valentine and Dino Bravo, and the Bolsheviks. Then you have the women's match. Sensational Sherry's team against the Fabulous Moolah's team. They don't mention who was on their teams, though. And it must have been pretty unmemorable, because then I said, well, the winners, the survivors were, in the first match, the only survivor was Andre the Giant. In the second, Macho Man Savage, Ricky Steamboat, and Jake Roberts all survived. The Killer Bees and the Young Stallions survived the tag team match, and I must not have noted the women's match. So, there we go. 3 more programs open, and we'll have some more coming up. I think the next one may be one that we actually open up fresh off the pile. So, until next time, thanks for watching. Subscribe, do whatever it is that you do here on YouTube. Spread the word. Always appreciate it. Have a good night.